Hello, welcome back to the action window. Cool new intro, hope you liked it. Took me a whole few hours to do that. 7 seconds of footage you just saw. So we've got another gameplay video here for you today. If you're familiar with how I do these, it's generally just me watching a recording of a game that I've made and sort of adding commentary. Things I think might be helpful or useful to you, the end viewer. So in this game, I'm running one of my current favorite loadouts, which is the mighty Thunderhammer and the versatile and dexterous las pistol. Las pistol, you may think. Isn't that bad? Well, no, it's actually pretty good now. It got some significant buffs after the last patch. And while it doesn't have the most impressive killing power of the las weapons, it is incredibly versatile in terms of being a maneuverability tool. And also on the Zealot, with the right blessing, a tool to close distance with relative safety, depending on your aim, with shooter enemies. I go with a Thunderhammer because I absolutely adore its ability to remove dangerous, high HP threats in good time. So here you can see that I am just wrecking this crowd of elites here. And if you're wondering how I'm managing to circumvent the end lag of the end animation, sorry, the lag of the end animation, you can do a pretty nifty trick with the Thunderhammer to essentially cancel that animation. If you do not do this trick, I will go as far as to say this weapon is probably unusable at Damnation High Intensity, because instead of the animation cancelling like you see me doing here, the hammer will bounce and you'll be stuck in this weird kind of staggered state for a second, and that can get you killed. So if you're wondering how to animation cancel the Thunderhammer, if you've not seen this before and you don't know, what you do is you essentially equip it as soon as the special hit hits the target. So I believe this was the first game I played with the las pistol upon receiving the level 4 version of the Ghost Blessing. And what that does will be coming up on your screen, read about now. I'm not going to super talk about builds and blessings at this point in the video. We'll have a little section at the end where I just show you what I'm running on both weapons. But yeah, Ghost, really good. And there I wasn't paying attention, I got trapped, very silly. So yeah, we're using the pistol for movement, to getting close to shooters, and to take out ranged enemies as and when we need to. But really, the sort of objective here is to hit enemies with guns in the head, trigger Ghost, and get that 1 second of invulnerability, allowing us to close gaps much more safely and quickly. And this is not what you want to see 3 minutes into a high intensity damnation run. Unfortunately, the demon host does get aggroed. In this situation, what you absolutely want to do is not attack the demon host, wait for it to kill 2 people, which it will always do. I mean, if you feel comfortable attacking and killing the demon host, then go for it. I don't. I know they can be killed. But generally, if you start attacking the demon host, you just increase your chances of being one of the people that it kills. So the best thing to do is to not attack, wait for it to kill the 2 people, and then go back as far as you can in the level. So for me and Blaine remaining here, that's this cupboard. And then you wait for your teammates to respawn. And if you've gone back far enough, you should get a respawn in a favorable place. By staying in this room, it's meant that our teammates have respawned just around the corner, so run's not really in jeopardy so long as we don't die to this horde of poxwalkers or the gunners outside. Not super worried about that, since we've got all the tools to kill and remove them. I will say as well, if you do find yourself in a situation where you're suddenly down half your team, the worst thing you can do is rush to the respawn. Because a lot of the time, the way to the respawn will be absolutely chock full of gunners, especially on High Intensity Damnation. And it really is better to be slow, safe, and steady than it is rushing out of panic in the hope that you'll get them up faster and get things back to normal. My teammate asked me to use a grenade there. There's no need. I'm very conservative with Zealot grenades. Maybe too conservative. There's certainly an argument for that. But ultimately, the Zealot grenades save lives and allow for incredibly dangerous reses. So you want to hang on to them for a tight spot rather than throw them around when you don't need them. Didn't see the sniper quick enough there and got punished. But I ultimate twice there with Irafbi Swift, not Irafbi Swift, whatever the name of the level 30 talent is that allows you to double ult. Just to get my toughness back to 100%. And just like that, the team's back. Demon hosts be damned.
May he fill his long years with the righteous deeds.
Engaging critical target.
So yeah, you get domed by a demon host, don't worry about it. Let it do its work. Back up, wait for the respawn. Slowly advance to your teammate safely together and get that run back on track. So I noticed during this run that I have my las pistol out pretty much the entire time when I don't have to deal with melee elites of the horde, and that's just because I move fast with it, it's got better dodges, and it gives me my shooter protection. I really like playing Zealot with the sort of heavier hitting weapons, but a very fast maneuverable gun, so I have all my bases covered. Because the Zealot is best, in my mind, at killing things in melee. And I really think you want to run a melee weapon that capitalizes on that ability. So personally, I'm not really a fan of the knife at all. It just doesn't really have that killing power that I look for. I also don't run the Flamer because it feels like a crutch to me. Like, you don't need it. It's not really a very fun weapon. It's probably the weapon in the game that needs a nerf the most. It's a little too strong right now after Blessings of the Omnissiah and the ability to put blessings on it, and it kind of feels that a lot of the time it trivializes the difficulty of the game. Not that I feel Darktide is a especially hard game, especially in comparison to its predecessor, Vermintide 2. But the Flamer certainly doesn't help that. So yeah, if you want to play ZEALOT like I do, big heavy hitting weapon in your melee slot, and fast maneuverable weapon in your range slot. An absolute joy to play. Fun, quick, and strong. Right, we've got a bit of a danger situation developing here. Two of my teammates are on one side of this big room. I'm on the other with CEO of Xenophobia here, just keeping an eye on him because I noticed they sort of ran off without looking behind them. Always kind of good to check in to see where your teammates are. Just having that situational awareness, looking around you, making sure you're not massively out of position. Luckily, the beast spawned at the entrance to this room, so rather than fight it in this huge, massive room that is probably stacked with gunners, we are just going to run back into the room we know is safe and clear and fight it in there. So yeah, exactly like the demon host, go backwards, look for space, look for empty, safe space. Always better to fight dangerous threats on ground you know does not have more enemies than on ground that does. Nice little demonstration of the las pistol's maneuverability there. And unfortunately, CEO has been bagged by a dog. This is what can tend to happen if you run off on your own. I'm not saying they intentionally did it. Sometimes you just get separated from your party and before you realize it's too late. But yeah, nothing I can do to save him there, so unfortunately we're just going to have to let them die and then wait for them to respawn. But because we're all in this this back room here and we haven't pushed into this large enemy-filled room we're coming up to, we'll get a favorable respawn. And yeah, look, we can see they've respawned just a little bit further into this room. So the Thunderhammer isn't the killiest of melee weapons in a horde capacity. It's good at controlling a horde because it knocks them about, but the damage curve on its cleave is pretty bad. So essentially you're kind of just killing one enemy at a time with those big heavy sweeps. But what it lacks in horde killing power, it more than makes up for in its ability to kill elites. Okay, apparently I didn't complete that animation. There we go. So fun fact about this room. I call it the room of death on this level. This spawn points in this room are bugged. So if you die at any point in this room, first of all it will respawn you in the little control room upstairs. But then, once you progress through the room enough, kind of winds back on itself before you get to that control room. And the game thinks you've gone past your teammates, and instead of keeping them in the control room waiting for you to get there, it will respawn them further along in the first event room. So the TLDR there is, don't die in this room, because you won't get to play Darktide again until your teammates reach the first event. Not very fun. Despite a couple of mishaps here and there, our team is actually playing pretty well together. Pretty good group of players. I should probably specify that Blaine here is a friend of mine, and I am on microphone with him in the game, which does make clutching out those duo situations a bit easier. The absolute main reason to run the Thunderhammer right there, just being able to one-shot muties. I absolutely hate muties with a burning passion. That's absolutely brutal. Got the push on the first burster, but didn't realize there was a second, and got punished. So I am technically able to one-shot these muties with this specific Thunderhammer, because it has thrust, but I guess I just didn't charge it long enough there. The other blessing I'm running on this Thunderhammer is Slaughterer, which I'll talk a little bit about in the build section at the end of this gameplay vid. Yeah, so this is getting a little hairy. A lot of elites here in a small area. And a special. So probably worth just throwing a grenade out of safety. Turns out I dig tag one of the two dogs with that grenade as well. Now we can fire our way through to CEO and get them back up. Slightly unfortunate there. They got separated and pinched in a dark corner. Happens to us all. Always keep in mind that on this level, enemies will drop down from above behind you constantly. This whole room is just one massive room from beginning to end and actually spans 3 stories. And at any point, some of the enemies that are perched above can drop down and start shooting you in the back. So it's always good to be mindful of that. This is the joy of the Thunderhammer right here. We'll just end these muties. Oh, that one got me though. Luckily avoided the burster. There's the 4th mutie the game's sending at us. Really wants to smash us to bits. And the nice thing about Reapers the Las Pistol and Ghost is that they've got really big heads, so very easy to shoot them in the head and trigger Ghost. So this is the control room I mentioned earlier, where if you die in this room, you will initially respawn here, but you will never be able to pick up a teammate in here, since the game does not recognize that you are just following the normal route through the level. And it will always think that you've skipped them and move them forward. Final stretch of this big room now, just this last staircase. Okay, so we're through the worst of it now. Finally out of the room of death, and on to the brighter pastures of the first event here. Absolutely messed that dodge up. So this can be quite a tricky event, mainly because the enemies spawn from literally everywhere in this room. So finding like the ideal spot can be tough. You can camp one of these bottom corners here, but I don't love that because then you give the enemies the high ground. There's definitely an argument to be made for either of the shelves. I've tried that sort of the shelf I'm looking at now that's just above the lower door. But you can get stuck up there, and it can be rough. Yeah, generally in Darktide, if you can take the high ground, take the high ground, because having enemy shooters shoot down onto you sucks. We're utilizing classic Obi-Wan Kenobi theory here. Definitely getting a little bit too big for my boots here with this relentless Las Pistol action. I should definitely have switched to my Thunder Hammer much more quickly there to prevent that damage. But yeah, as I said earlier, first game with Ghost, so I was really interested to just sort of like muck about the Las Pistol and see what I could get away with. CEO of Xenophobia saving my ass. So if you ever see me using my ultimate with no apparent like target in sight to hit, it's just to get the 50% toughness back. I do that quite a lot. At this point I should really be looking to use the Medicae, as I am in 1-tap range. Or 2-tap range I should say. Okay, invincibility is triggered there. 5 seconds and then I'm dead to anything, and yep. Being way too cocky. Not in the worst place. And luckily, CEO and Hell are able to bail me out of this bad situation. I go straight for Medicaid here. This was another stupid decision on my part. Needed to kill the thing shooting me before attempting to use that. The world's worst gunslinger here. But we survive and we get the Medicaid. And all of the previous events you've just witnessed over the last 30 seconds, not punished for those at all. That's a great feeling. But yeah, putting yourself in a bad situation during an event scenario, not a good idea. You know, you don't want to put your teammates through the stress of having to pick your downed ass up. So when you're on low health, heal. And don't do silly things with las pistols that get you killed. So the light attacks with the hammer can be pretty lackluster. Unless, of course, you've got a Slaughterer on it. In which case, you start to be able to get a lot of one-shot potential once you've got the maximum stacks of that going. Like, it's still not especially fast at clearing through hordes. But taking out gunners systematically, that it is good at. Not sure what happened with that physics-defying dog there, just casually teleporting onto me. That's another nice thing about Slaughterer there and Thrust combined, is that you can still get pretty good killing power once you've built up Slaughterer stacks on unarmored elites. I mean, yeah, I know I used my ultimate to kill that Rager, but it worked. I'm not brave enough to try it, but I would imagine that if you can headshot a sniper as it shoots you with Ghost level 4, you could probably just completely tank the shot just fine. You'd have to be braver than I am to do that. CEO Xenophobia just saved me from that net back there as well. He really had my ass in this event. It's a nice demonstration of the Thunder Hammer being very good at crowd control. Just creating some space and some time, allowing my teammates to get their horde killers out. Got a lot of mutants in this game. Go Joe, I can immediately remove them. That is a really unfortunate situation to Blaine. Trapped and then dragged into fire. Unfortunately, didn't have time to get him there. But again, we can utilize the res trick. If we went and pressed the button now before he respawned, he would not respawn in this room. The game would register as the event being complete and spawn him further along. So we just wait. He respawns. My teammates press the button and end the event, and then they go get him, which is absolutely perfectly played. Cheeky.
A lifetime trading with the foul Xenos has left a stain on Browns.
Right, that's the worst of this this level over.
Trade's all right, just so long as we don't pick up their fancy lingo.
The last event can be a bit hairy if everyone's running around like a headless chicken, but on the whole, it's not as bad as that one.
Victims can rest now. Another victim sent down.
Once we go down, there's no way back up.
Plasteel. Plasteel.
Alright, now we get to see the other thing that the Thunderhammer is really good at, and that's killing bosses. Look at the damage it does, Jesus Christ. And there he goes. I did 25% damage to that thing's entire HP with that last hit there. I mean, Plague Ogrins are a bit of a joke, so I'm not going to sit here acting like it's super impressive, but it is very cool that you can kill them that quickly with this weapon. Here we get another big sort of dense clustering of elites and specials. So I killed something there. I think it was the dog, because I was aiming for the mutie, but that obviously didn't die. I heard like a woof, and then you see the red X and it died. There's a lot of elites here. CEO throws down a grenade. I suddenly decide to throw down mine. I think it's because I know there's no space behind me, so I don't really have much space to back up into. And if you've got no space to back up into and you don't want to get trapped, then yeah, you need to create some space. But again, I probably didn't need to use my grenade there. I'm very much a proponent of it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Of course, you can play your Zealot however you want, but generally I don't really find I need to use my grenades. I just like having them for when shit hits the fan. Okay, we are through the level and on to the main event.
Is one manufactorum really so vital? Manufactorums HL 1524 through HL 1613 already non-functioning. Further production loss unacceptable.
This is a brutal dream I've created. Maybe I should try to wake
Gotta love the way those tassels just glide gracefully in the breeze there. No doubt adorned with Holy Scripture. So as far as high intensity runs go, this one wasn't the most egregious in terms of the spawn generator's behavior. I've definitely had more relentless runs than this one. So now CEO is on it. There's a little trick I'm sure you know you can do by now where you throw it up if someone can catch it, but they're kind of busy fighting, so we go the long way. Now this is definitely an area where the Knife Zealot can shine. Moving around quickly. Very handy in carry events. And I guess the Mutie wants me to carry the Cryonic Rod. So I will oblige him. See, I don't like this situation at all. I'm kind of on my own here. I don't know where my team is. So I do throw a grenade. Just to buy me a bit of space. Now, it looks like we're a little bit out of position here, but actually this is kind of okay. 3 of us are together, and Blaine is off, using the high ground to take shots at dangerous enemies. He does get a little separated from us, though. I do think that tactic is a good one on this event. Having someone that sort of follows you around the arena, but on the upper level, just acting as a sort of Overwatch character. Got to be relatively confident, but assuming they know what they're doing, it is a good shout. Playing Benny Hill roundabout with his Mutie. Okay, Blaine has unfortunately gone down here, but again, we've still got 1 grenade in the chamber, so rezzing him is easy peasy, and that's why I like to hang on to at least 1 at all times. There's a lot of maulers here, though. If you lose a teammate on this part, just immediately pause where you are at the event and run to the respawn. It's a really easy respawn to get them from. Luckily, we've already finished the event. CEO of Xenophobia doing his Knife Zealot thing and just getting that last Chronic Rod sorted. So satisfying being able to just remove these rages. And we are done. You know, it's games like this I really would love. Very detailed scoreboards. I would absolutely love to know how many muties I killed in that game. Because it felt like a lot. And that's it. GG. High Intensity Damnation done. We had a little rocky start at the beginning there. But on the whole, nice team. Relatively chill run. Not a problem. Cool. Thanks for watching the gameplay. Now we'll move into talking a little bit about the weapons themselves and the build I was using. Okay, now that we've got the game out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the build I was using. I'm not going to spend super long on this as it's all fairly self-explanatory. But feat-wise, I'm running a 3-3-2-2-2-3 build. The key talents for the Thunderhammer are this one right here, Retribution. Definitely the best pick on this row for the Thunderhammer. You're not really going for the 20% attack speed at 20% health and below. You're really just getting the nice 10% attack speed bonus while below 50%. This happens more than you think, and it's not quite the same crossover point as 3 stacks of Martyrdom, but it's not far off. I think you're at 55% HP for 3 stacks of Martyrdom and 49% HP to have the first level of Retribution active. The other absolutely essential talent in this build is Thy Wrath Be Swift, which stops you from getting stunned out of your heavies. A big part of surviving with the hammer is being able to chain heavies together to get this big, wide, staggering sweeps on the horde, allowing you to kill them in good time. Other than that, we're just running all the good stuff. Purge the Wicked here for 2 charges on our F ability. Rising Conviction for 20% damage at max stacks. And Benediction for 15% toughness damage reduction while in coherency. Moving on to the weapon itself. The Thunderhammer is a weird one where the perks aren't really relevant. It's much more based in blessings. So you can see here on my one, I've got Unarmored and Maniac. I may not even have to run Maniac on this if I had slightly better damage and first target stats and the level 4 version of Thrust, but I don't. So I am running versus Maniacs in order to get the one-shot breakpoint. And as you can see, I don't even need to hit it in the head or have any stacks of Rising Conviction or the rest of it to one-shot that. The other really important break shot with a Thunderhammer is being able to 2-tap Crushers, which you can see I can do just fine. So let's talk about the blessings. Thrust enables me to hit these breakpoints. There might be a breakpoint you can hit to one-shot the Crusher, but that is the subject for another video. The main things we're looking to one-shot are both Rages, which we can do. In regards to Slaughter, we're running that because otherwise killing basic enemies takes forever. But once I get up to 5 stacks of Slaughterer by just killing some enemies here, you'll see that my heavy swing one-shots all of these shooters. And it's not just my heavy swing either, it's actually my light one too. Yeah, so while we have 5 stacks of Rising Conviction and Slaughter active, I can one-shot any of these enemies with my light attack. Now I've got Unarmored on my Thunderhammer, but that's just because it was the best pick of what I had. I think in an ideal world, I would be running versus Flak and versus Maniac if I needed to, and if I didn't need to run versus Maniac, I would be running versus Carapace. Looking at the last pistol now, I've gone with crit percentage to trigger Infernus or Inferno, whatever it's called. It's not a big deal, but if I had that blessing lock to it, I figure I might as well be triggering it. The last pistol has an inbuilt 15% crit that stacks on top of the Zealot's 5% natural crit. And so with the plus crit perk there, I take it from 1 in 5 shots to 1 in 4 shots being a crit. But the real MVP here is this tier 4 Ghost Blessing. And what that allows for is invulnerability. Pretty amazing when you are approaching shooter enemies and you can consistently land headshots. Now that takes a bit of practice. And yeah, it's just an excellent tool for moving about. It's an excellent tool for pushing shooters. And as soon as you're into their gun line, you can start wrecking them with the Thunderhammer. I'll talk very quickly about my curios. I always go for stamina recovery and combat ability regeneration. So at 10% across 3 curios, your cooldown on your F will go from 30 to 27%. And that 3 seconds does matter. I know some of you will probably scoff at that, but in Darktide, where the game can be measured in measurements of sometimes half or a third of a second, 3 seconds can be an eternity. Of course, you can run whatever you like, but I really recommend it. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.